Welcome to NTP Masterclass. This session we're going to be talking about operator licensing, and this is going to be based on a question that appeared in a previous exam paper. So let's have a little look at the question and the details that were in the exam paper, and we'll have a look and see how we're going to answer it. So the case study question was: OCF's Logistics Director has proposed 5 changes in April 2020 involving vehicle replacements, transfers and additions as described in the case study. For each of the 5 proposed changes, describe the first application or notification that the company must submit to Traffic Commissioner, if any. You must assume that all 5 changes are made. Question 1A. Note: where no applications or notifications are required, you must state this in the case. And question 1B, describe one further action that OCF must take if it decides to complete the proposed vehicle replacements, transfers and additions before the end of December 2019. So we've got 2 parts to this question. We've got part A, which is the 5 proposed changes, and we've got part B, which is one further action. We're going to look at them separately, but have a look through that. Pause the video, have a look through what's there and highlight what is going to affect the answers that we're looking for, specifically to do with operator licensing. So if you'd like to pause, have a look, highlight, and then come back and we'll have a little look. So what have we found? Let's have a little look. They're proposing that 5 changes are going to be made in April 2020. Now, this case study was based in December 2019. So the 5 changes will happen next year, in sort of 5 months' time, 4 to 5 months' time. They are involving replacements, transfers and additions. And it says the information is actually in the case study. What we need to do is we've got to describe the first application or notification that the company must submit to the Traffic Commissioner, if any. So there's a difference, isn't there, between application and notification. Some elements of operator licensing just requires you to notify within 28 days that the change is happening. Others, you have to seek permission from the Traffic Commissioner, and that is where application comes in. You must assume that all 5 changes are made. This could affect that if only some of the 5 were made, it might affect the answer that we're going to find. But we've got to assume that all 5 that they give us are made. Where no applications or notifications are required, you must state that this is the case. So of the 5 changes that we've got, if one of them has got absolutely nothing to do with our operator licensing regime, then we must state that it hasn't. Otherwise, we're not going to get a mark. Question 1B, describe one further action that OCF must take if it decides to complete the proposed vehicle replacements, transfers and additions before the end of December 2019. So, as I said, we'll have a look at that one afterwards. Okay, so hopefully you found the gist of the question. Let's have a little look through the case study then, and we'll see what information we can pick out in the case study that is relevant to this operator licensing question. So the background: Oxford Children Frozen plc, OCF, manufactures and sells substantial quantities of quick frozen ready meals using recipes from all over the world. Its customers include major supermarket chains and wholesale warehouse operators in the UK. The meals are manufactured at a number of the company's sites, each specialising in particular product areas. The meals are transported between OCF's sites for onward delivery to customers. OCF's refrigerated vehicle fleet includes 3,500 kilogram vans, 7,500 kilogram and 18,000 kilogram rigid lorries, and 44,000 kilogram articulated combinations. The vehicles operate over a number of set routes designed to place products at OCF sites to enable deliveries to customers. OCF holds restricted operator licences covering all sites except Boreham Wood. Its sites are described in the following table. So before we have a look at the following table, have a little look through that, pause the video, highlight what you think is going to be relevant to our operator license question, and then when you've found or not found, as the case may be, come back and we'll have a little look through. So what have we found on this slide? Well, there's a couple of bits and pieces that that do relate to operator licensing in general. In that we've got 3,500 kilogram vans, 7,500 and 18,000 kilogram rigid bit lorries, and 44,000 articulated combinations. So that may well be relevant, but we'll have a look and we'll see as we go through. Other than that, none of the other really affects us. So the next slide we've got gives us a table of the traffic areas and how many vehicles are authorised and how many trailers are authorised for those traffic areas. It also tells us whether we have got a margin available at that site. So for example, Glasgow, they have got 3 authorised vehicles and the current vehicle margin is 1, which means that they've got 3 authorised but they're only running 2. So they've got a margin of 1. If you look above, Oxford says that they've got 6 vehicles authorised, but the current vehicle margin is none. So they are running 6 vehicles. Again, have a little look through, pause the video, have a little look through, highlight what you think is going to potentially be of interest to us in this operator licensing question, and we'll have a look when you come back. Right, so what have we found this time? Well, potentially, because we've not looked at the ins and outs of the question, because that will come on the table in a bit, potentially all of this may be relevant. So hopefully you've highlighted that for every single traffic area, we could be looking at the number of authorised vehicles, the number of authorised trailers, and the current vehicle margin. We've also hopefully picked out that Bournemouth says that it's not an authorised operating centre because no vehicles are currently based there. So depending on how the question bears out, then that may well be of relevance. Let's have a look at the next slide. OCF delivery and collection routes. Route 11, one of OCF's collection and delivery routes, Route 11, transports frozen foodstuffs from Stockport, Peterborough and Bournemouth to Margate. It also delivers packaging and marketing materials from Oxford to its sites on the route before returning to Oxford at the end of the day. Route 11 operates every weekday, Monday to Friday inclusive, throughout the year. Details of delivery Route 11 are set out below. The refrigerated articulated combination assigned to this route works only on this route and is the only vehicle to do so. It has 2 seats in the cab but no sleeping facilities. We've got a list of destinations with various bits and pieces listed with it. Have a look, see if any of those are relevant. Proposed vehicle replacements, transfers and addition. OCF's Logistics Director has proposed that the following vehicle changes be made in April 2020. Number 1, transfer permanently 1 rigid 18,000 kilogram lorry from Oxford to Bournemouth. Number 2, transfer permanently 1 rigid 18,000 kilogram lorry from Oxford to Margate. Number 3, add 3 3,500 kilogram vans at Stockport. Number 4, transfer permanently 2 rigid 18,000 kilogram lorries from Stockport to Peterborough. Number 5, add 1 new tractor unit, purchase price £84,994 excluding tyres, and 1 new semi-trailer, purchase price £20,800 excluding tyres at Oxford. So have a little look through that, pause it, highlight what you think is relevant for our operator licensing question, and we'll have a little look together in a minute. Welcome back. So what have we found that is going to be relevant for our operator licensing question on this slide? Nothing as we go down. All of that's to do with driver scheduling. When we get to the bottom here though, this is giving us the meat of our question of part A. Proposed vehicle replacements, transfers and additions. So these are the 5 things that we're going to be looking at. As it said in the question, there was 5 alterations that are going to be made, and these are the 5. So absolutely crucial that we've got these highlighted. Let's have a little look at the next page then. Delivery route 6. OCF transports packaging materials which are delivered to the Stockport site every weekday, Monday to Friday inclusive, including any public holidays that fall on weekdays every week. Details of the single man delivery route 6 are set out below. Uses a refrigerated 18,000 kilogram lorry. Stockport and Oxford details are given there. OCF scheduling rules. Driver and vehicle schedules for set routes must assume an average speed of 60 km per hour. Driver break and rest periods may only be scheduled when they are legally required for the shortest possible time. All drivers assigned to a vehicle are required to assist with vehicle checks. They are also required to assist with all loading and unloading activities away from the Oxford site. All drivers have signed an opt-out from the working time limit for night workers. OCF operates a car shuttle service to relocate drivers as required. It also provides sleeping facilities for drivers at Oxford. The following drivers are available to work on Route 11 and all Route 6. So 6 drivers at Oxford and 12 drivers detailed at Stockport. Any of that going to be of use to our question? Pause, have a look, highlight, unpause, we'll have a look. Right, so what have we got on here? Absolutely nothing of relevance to operator licensing. So let's have a little look at the next page. We've got costing information. So cost item, cost rule or amount and rate. We can do this pretty quickly because having just a quick look at that, depreciation, wages, fuel, tyres, maintenance, is any of that to do with operator licensing? No, of course it isn't. So there's nothing on that slide. Look on the next one. Current issues. Driver's complaint, Oxford Operating Centre. The drivers based at OCF's Oxford Operating Centre have complained that the facilities and resources provided to them for completing daily vehicle checks are inadequate. Cash budget. OCF's Finance Director has submitted a draft budget for the calendar year 2020, including projected trading and profit and loss accounts, a balance sheet and a cash flow forecast. The profit and loss account predicts that 2020 will be a profitable year, and the balance sheet predicts that the company will be comfortably solvent by the 31st of December 2020. The directors are satisfied that all sales and costs have been budgeted at reasonable levels, and they will not permit these forecasts to be changed. The draft cash flow forecast shows figures for each month in 2020. It predicts that the company's overdraft will exceed that agreed with the bank between February and May 2020 inclusive. The shortfall is projected to peak at £15,000. So again with this slide, we can very quickly, can't we? We can have a look. Current issues. Is it relevant? No. Cash budget. Is it relevant? Well, it might be relevant to operator licensing, depending on the question. But our question is talking about alterations and additions, etc. But it's asking about the notification or application specific, not about what has to accompany any notification or application. So again, none of that is relevant to our question. It might be relevant to operator licensing, but not to our question. Having a look at the next slide, the cash receipt and payment line items. Again, cash flow item, receipt and payment terms. Is any of that going to affect a application or a notification that we're going to make to operator licensing? No, it's not, is it? So we can quite happily skip over that one as well. So what we've done is we've grabbed all the information in together and we have put it so as it's fairly easy for us to understand. Now for ease of display, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the next slide, and this is the grid that was on the question paper. The first bits were actually pre-populated. So I'll just give you an example that the first change we're looking at is the transfer of one vehicle from Oxford to Bournemouth. So all of these changes were pre-populated, and then we have to put the application or notification required. So we're going to work it out first, then we're going to come back to the grid and we're going to pre-populate it. Okay, so this is the information that we have pulled out of the case study. The number of authorised vehicles, the number of authorised trailers, the current margin, that Bournemouth is not an authorised operating centre, and our 5 proposed stages that are relevant to the question. So let's have a look at them one by one. First one, transfer permanently one rigid 18,000 kilogram lorry from Oxford to Bournemouth. So we're taking one from Oxford and we're moving it to Bournemouth. What's the details on Oxford? We've got 6 authorised vehicles and we've got 1 authorised trailer. Current vehicle margin of 0. That's irrelevant because we're looking at taking a vehicle away. The question on number 1 is one rigid 18,000 kilogram lorry, so we're not talking about trailers either, so that's good. So we transfer 1 from here and we're transferring it to Bournemouth. So what is the issue that we've got with transferring it to Bournemouth? It says, doesn't it? Nice and clear. Bournemouth is not an authorised operating centre. So we're going to have to make Bournemouth an authorised operating centre before we can transfer the vehicle, aren't we? Yeah. So that's the stage that we've got on number 1. Yeah. We're transferring the vehicle, but we've got to make Bournemouth a operating centre. Okay. So number 2, and if you want to just jot these down as we're going through them, then it's probably advisable. Number 2, transfer permanently one rigid 18,000 kilogram lorry from Oxford to Margate. Okay, so Oxford again, we're going to be taking another vehicle off. Margate, we have 2 authorised vehicles. Current vehicle margin is 1. So although we've got authorisation for 2 vehicles, we only are running 1 at Margate. So is there any reason whatsoever why we can't just take 1 from Oxford and transfer it to Margate? Absolutely no reason whatsoever. Yeah, we can do that, that's fine. Number 3, add 3 3,500 kilogram vans at Stockport. So Stockport, we are authorised vehicles 9, authorised trailers 4, current margin 1. We're looking at 3 3,500 kilogram vans. Okay, so we don't need to worry about this, do we? The margin, etc. Because do our 3,500 kilogram vans fall under the operator licensing regime? They don't, because for operator licensing, it is vehicles over 3,500 kilograms. And our vans are not over 3,500, so they fall outside of the operator licensing. So this is the example that it said in the question, making sure that we state that it's not necessary, otherwise we don't get a mark. Excuse me. Number 4, transfer permanently 2 rigid 18,000 kilogram lorries from Stockport to Peterborough. So we have in Stockport, we have got 9 authorised. Peterborough, we have got 4, 1 trailer, current vehicle margin 1. Okay, so I'm going to jump forward slightly here because in the exam there was a mistake. And in the exam here it said transfer permanently 2 rigid lorries. But when it comes to the grid that was pre-populated on the question paper, it only said transfer 1 rigid. So for simplicity, if we're only going to transfer 1, which was what it said in the question paper, then transferring 1 from Stockport to Peterborough, we've already got the margin. So we don't need to make it overcomplicated. And number 5, add 1 new tractor unit, purchase price excluding tyres, and 1 new semi-trailer at Oxford. So can we just do a straight transfer to that? We've got 6 vehicles, we've got authorised trailer, and we've got current vehicle margin of none. Now, what we've got to bear in mind is that the question says that we must assume that all of these changes are going to be made. So, if all of these changes are made, we've removed 2 vehicles from Oxford. We now have the margin, because we're only going to be using 4, so we've got a current vehicle margin of 2 at Oxford, so we can transfer the vehicle over without a problem. The trailer, potentially that might be a different matter. We're already running a trailer from Oxford, so we're going to have to look at being able to run a second trailer from Oxford. Okay, so that's the background to those. Let's have a little look on the grid and see how we're going to fill it in. So let's take the first one. Transfer 1 vehicle from Oxford to Boreham Wood. So transferring that, remember Boreham Wood is not an operating centre, so we're going to have to apply for an operator licence to be able to run a vehicle out of Boreham Wood. And we can then notify the removal of the vehicle from Oxford. So, first application is to apply to add Boreham Wood as an operating centre, and the first notification will be notify the removal of 1 vehicle from Oxford. So remember, we've got to do both sides of the equation. We've got to add on one side, but we've got to remove from the other side, and the Traffic Commissioner needs to know both sides. The second one, transfer of 1 vehicle from Oxford to Margate. That one was quite straightforward, wasn't it? We need to notify the addition of 1 vehicle at Margate because we had the margin, and we must remember to do the other side of the equation, notify the removal of 1 vehicle from Oxford. Number 3, adding 3,500 kilogram vans at Stockport. This was the one that doesn't fall within operator licensing requirements because it is under the weight necessary. So we need to put requires no action or something like that, otherwise we're not going to get the mark. Fourth one, transferring 1 vehicle from Stockport to Peterborough, and see that in the case study it said 2 vehicles, but in the question paper it only said 1 vehicle. It makes it a lot more simple. We need to notify the removal from Stockport, and we need to notify the addition at Peterborough. And the last one, the addition of an articulated combination at Oxford. We need to apply to increase the number of authorised trailers there, but also we need to advise to notify the Traffic Commissioner that we are transferring a vehicle to Oxford. That we are purchasing a vehicle and we are adding it to the operator licensing. So we've got an application to increase the number of authorised trailers, and we've got a notification to add a vehicle to the operating licence. Okay, so that covers A. Hopefully you're with me with that, and it's not quite as complicated as it first seems. So, question B, which was, describe 1 further action that OCF must take to complete the replacements, transfers and additions before the end of December 2019. Now remember I said that this exam was based in December of 2019, so that would be the beginning of December. We're only talking about making these changes instead of April 2020, which is sort of 5 months on. We're talking about making them in the next few weeks, by the end of December 2019. And it's that time period that is the key to answering this part of the question. We need to be making them at short notice. So what can we do to be able to make these at short notice? Company would need to apply for an interim direction if it wanted to complete all the changes before the end of December 2019, because it's less than 9 weeks ahead. And normally any application that you make to the Traffic Commissioner will take around 7 weeks if you do it online, 9 weeks if you do it paper-based. we're looking at needing to do it within 4 weeks. So apply for an interim direction would be worth the mark. Okay, so hopefully that's pretty clear to you. If you've got any questions or queries, by all means let us know. That's what we're here for. If you have a look at the bottom of the course, there are case studies for you to complete. If you'd like to complete them and send them through to online support, one of the tutors will gladly mark them, have a look at them, give you some constructive feedback, not just on the knowledge that you've got, but also on exam technique, because that can be a big factor in passing or failing. Anything we can do at all, by all means, just let us know. We've got plenty of other useful masterclasses for you. Have a look at them, and hopefully they will be of use and will help you towards getting that crucial pass. Good luck in your exam. See you again on another masterclass. Thanks a lot.